Former Daily Show host Trevor Noah decided it was a good idea to make a joke about the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Oh, there's nothing fun. No, don't say that, because as a comedian, I'll be like, I'm sure there's something funny about it. The guy was shot while defending guns. Do you understand how? I'm not even writing that as a joke. As a human, you have to admit that is an incongruous, funny thing that happens. You are there, you're like on stage and you're like, let me tell you why people should have guns. Wapa!
Picture this. A man is gunned down, so much so that blood is gushing from his neck, clutching his life as he slips over his chair and slips away on a stage where he once fought for freedom, in front of thousands. Not just a hero to some, but to millions. And then not even a year later, watch this, a so-called comedy icon from our own soil, South Africa's pride, the guy who had us once rolling off our chairs in laughter, steps up to a mic in Saudi Arabia and calls that murder funny. Yes, you heard me. Like a skit. Like a chuckle-worthy TikTok. This isn't a roast. It's a reckoning. A line has been crossed, and I'm not here to whisper politely about it. I am here to call out a man who forgot about respect for the deceased and danced on a patriot's grave. Let me set the scene for you, because I'm not being hypothetical. It's September 10th, 2025, Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, a firebrand who built an empire out of sheer will, is up there doing what he does best, spitting truth like a machine gun to the young. Turning Point USA, his brainchild basically, was waking up kids across America, not some parts, across America, telling them to ditch the woke Kool-Aid and fight for their rights. They must fight for free speech, for guns, for borders, for God. Mid-sentence, a bullet rips through his neck. Raw footage, the kind of news media will never touch. It shows it all. I saw it. Charlie staggering, his hand not even pressed against the wound because it was so huge, just holding all the blood gushing out as he falls over his chair, while everyone is going down like this because what on earth is going on? You hear a few people screaming, but everyone else was just way too afraid. And then a comedian pulls the FU card by joking about it in a Saudi fest not even a year later. That's the kind of trash our hero, Trevor Noah, decided to turn into a punchline. Charlie Kirk didn't just die. He bled out fighting for the America that gave Trevor Noah the very stardom he has. And what does this goober jester do? He laughs really hard. In fact, he shares with others. He shares the punchline with others rather in a Saudi fest. In South Africa, we loved him. Back in the 2010s, Trevor Noah was the guy for SA comedy. We all know that. From Joburg's dusty stages to global screens, he had us all in stitches. And my mom had CD collections of his stand-up and was passed around us like sacred texts. I was in grade 5, stealing his jokes for drama class, cracking up my classmates during speeches because I was there thinking this guy is the GOAT of African stand-up comedy. His jokes about taxi drivers, load shedding, and dodging township chaos, the Russian military, everything gold. Half the reason I can land a punchline today is because I studied his game like it was matric finals. He was Africa's comedy king at one point, a hometown hero who made it big without forgetting the struggle. Or so we thought. Oh boy, because he jets off to America, everybody forgets about him over here, trades his roots for a Netflix deal, and suddenly, bro became too cool for respect for the dead. Worse, he's out here mocking a man's murder like it's open mic night at the Apollo. Bruv, this is not the Montreal screw job. Shawn Michaels at least had the decency to fake the drama. You're stomping on a real corpse for clout, for attention. Was that really an accident? Guys, Trevor Noah is not some rookie comedian learning the ropes. Trevor Noah is a 41-year-old veteran of the comedy game. He's hosted The Daily Show. He's rubbed elbows with the elites who fund him now. And even played neutral observer at one point while he was preaching to a choir. He knows the weight of his words. So when he steps up in Saudi Arabia, of all places, at some glitzy comedy fest and says the guy was shot defending guns, That's not even a joke. That's just, it's not funny. That's not funny. Why is everyone pretending this is funny? The only incongruous thing here is you thinking a patriot's blood is your prop. Charlie Kirk was assassinated for speaking the truth. He was gunned down by the same kind of unhinged ideologue these communist people pander to. And the number one thing you do, the guy who talks about human rights all the time, is make others giggle about it. That's not comedy, that is cowardice. That is a man so desperate for woke applause that he will sell his soul and our pride for a cheap laugh. Let's get raw, because this hits different for us South Africans, really. We're out here dealing with real struggles. Farm murders, crime rates that make Gotham look like a daycare, a government that's half ANC, half circus. We don't have time for fake tears or fake laughs. Back in the day, Trevor Noah's comedy was actually our escape, our mirror. He'd roast the chaos of our lives with love, make us laugh at the pain. Now, it's almost like Trevor Noah has forgotten the taste of that dust, because he's up there sipping champagne with sheiks while we're here dodging literal communist bullets and jokes about Charlie Kirk. This man was fighting for the same sovereignty we're bleeding for here. Charlie Kirk was fighting for secure borders, strong families, and the right to defend ourselves. He was building, not breaking. And Trevor Noah, who many call the hero, was tearing down a man who died for that. That was a nail in the coffin. You're not just dead to the Americans who took very big disrespect from what you said. You're kind of dead to us now, because this joke was thicker than a Durban bunny chow. You're the first one to talk about how black people suffered for all these years on podcasts during apartheid 1 minute, and then you turn a martyr's death into a zinger the next. If you're gonna cry about gun violence, like limit the thing that ended his life, he says, all solemn for the cameras, then don't pivot to laughing about the irony. Pick a lane. The raw footage doesn't lie. Charlie's last moments show defiance, not a skit. His blood was pooling. The crowd was screaming. A warrior was falling. You think that's incongruous? Try telling that to the millions who watched his funeral, live streamed to every corner of the globe. Try telling that to the Turning Point kids who are doubling their chapters, arming up, voting harder because of people like Charlie Kirk. Try telling that to the parents who lost sons to the border chaos Charlie Kirk was fighting against. You're not punching up. You're punching a ghost. And ghosts don't laugh. Let's talk about numbers, because the streets don't lie. After Charlie's death, campus carry petitions spiked 300% in red states. Turning Point USA's membership exploded. Kids were signing up like it's a revolution. His funeral, 1 million streams, with speakers from everyday Joes to presidents, honoring a man who didn't just talk, he built. But Trevor Noah, your little special tanked harder than a Dreykus Duplessis tackle. X is on fire with the backlash. Hashtag boycott Trevor Noah's next special. Because you ruined the entire thing. A soulless murder you joked of. That is beyond gross. This shouldn't get you just cancelled. It should make you a cautionary tale. Jimmy Kimmel had an opinion about Make America Great Again, and he was cancelled immediately. Watch Trevor Noah walk free from this controversy. Real comics, guys who grind in dive bars, not arenas, know the line. You don't mock a man's death when his blood is still warm. Can you imagine if this was reversed? Imagine if a white comedian from America was joking about Chris Hani assassination. You can imagine how many black activists, including Trevor Noah, would step up and say, as a comedian myself, I feel heavily disrespected and I think this comedian should be cancelled. Because it was that sensitive. You don't joke about things like that. Chris Hani is even better. That was many years ago. So you can mess around it here and there. People won't really feel it because it's one of those very old wounds. Charlie Kirk just happened. His family is still crying. Those kids are still remembering their mom telling them the news that dad is dead. It's not even been 6 months. You're already joking about it in Saudi Arabia. You were the guy of stand-up comedy, but something changed about you, didn't it? Trevor Noah never used to insult recently assassinated people with families still mourning just to get a few laughs. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that wasn't the Trevor Noah I used to watch back in the day. Trevor Noah was out there building fortresses against the same chaos we face. Daily crime, corruption, the erosion of everything that makes us strong. And then he fell off. And this comedian didn't mourn, he mocked. That's not just a betrayal of Charlie, it is a betrayal to us and a spit in the face for that man's family. I was once a 5th grade kid stealing his jokes thinking he was a hero. My mom had a CD collection of him, believing he'd carry our spirit to the world. He didn't. He dropped it, he stepped on it, and he laughed about Charlie Kirk's death. So here's the challenge, Trevor Noah. Own it. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. We don't want some PR scripted if I offended trash. Say I mocked a hero's death. I failed you because Charlie Kirk was a giant and I was a fool for joking about it. Let real comics, real fighters take the mic, because we are done with grave dancers. We are done with sellouts. We are now building something bigger. In America, in South Africa, everywhere. Charlie's blood demands it. Our pride demands it. To everyone watching this video, this is our moment. You can't let this slide. You cannot let this slide. If I say something about my opinion on kids cutting off their genitals at school, they're going to call me a misogynist and a sellout. But Trevor Noah can joke about Charlie Kirk's death in Saudi Arabia and watch how nothing happens to him. Why? Are some people benefiting from the game more than others? Does the law apply to some people and not others? Are some people above the law? Is this not hate speech? Or maybe I don't understand what hate speech is anymore.